Okay, so now we move on to other geometric studies of surfaces. One of the most important thing is how the surface curve. So let's first look at how did we define the curving of a curve. So what will happen? You take the tangent gamma dot, then to get the curving, you take rate of change of the tangent vector gamma dot. So derivative of gamma dot, that means gamma double dot. This is what is the definition of curvature. Of course, it's modulus, it's norm. That's that we defined as the curvature of a curve. What about surface? Surface, there is nothing called tangent for surface. In the curve we took tangent and rate of change of tangent, that's the curvature. But in the case of surface, there is nothing called tangent, rate of change of tangent or anything. What we have is a tangent, a collection of tangents forming a plane. So if you are looking for that plane, really tell you how slopey the curve is at any point. You look at the tangent plane, then that tells you the slope, the curve surface at that point is situated in that slope. That is the indicator of the tangent plane. So if you want to look at rate of change of tangent plane, how are we going to measure rate of change of tangent plane and in all directions? So that is difficult, but there is a way. The way is you look at the normal, because normal will determine the tangent plane uniquely, because you given any vector, a non-zero vector, there is a unique plane perpendicular to it. So that is the tangent plane. But the difficulty is tangent plane given, normal is not uniquely determined. There can be two normals. It's a unit vector perpendicular to that. In R3, if you are given a plane, there are two unit vectors perpendicular to that. In one upward, on one side of the plane, the other one is the other side of the plane. Both are perpendicular and length 1. We are in R3, therefore we can do. Of course, in R4 this is not clear, because you take a plane, what is perpendicular to that is not just a plane, just a vector line, but it is a plane, so there is difficulty. That is why we study surfaces put inside R3. So normal is completely and almost uniquely determined, except there is a choice. One of them we can decide. So now, instead of looking at rate of change of plane, look at the rate of change of normal, because normal is just one vector. Now you can ask, what is the rate of change of that vector? So you have a vector, just take the vector valued function rather. Normal at every point, so it gives you a function at every point you have this normal vector put, and then you have normal vector defined, and then you ask, of course we can define what is the normal vector, etc. And then we can ask whether this rate of change of this normal vector, that is exactly the indicator of rate of change of the tangent plane, because that will tell you how the tangent plane moves in all the directions, because the normal will, as normal moves, tangent and normal will be a rigid kind of a thing. Normal is kept, tangent is kept. Now when you move, the normal also moves, indicating which direction it moves. Okay, so that is why we take that. So, but the question is normal unique? No, it is not unique. There are two choices, and probably, of course, for differentiation, etc., you have to have the domain defined on plane, so you have to parameterize. So let us start. Let sigma from U to S be a surface patch, be a chart or surface patch, and of course you can say take a point P here on the surface. So a point here, U0, V0, equal to P. That's all right. It's not necessary. So that how the normal is defined. So the vector here, there is going to be a problem because the notations can create problem. So I will have to take this normal vector n is defined as, at every point it is defined as sigma u cross sigma v by norm of sigma u cross sigma v. This is one vector, otherwise minus. Actually this. But then for function you can't have two values. So you make up your mind, you decide, okay, I will take this itself. So then there is no ambiguity involved. But then there is a problem. If this is defined, what will happen if sigma tilde is from u tilde to s is a chart, then you will take sigma tilde, this n, you will get another one, n tilde is going to be sigma tilde u tilde cross sigma tilde v tilde upon norm of sigma tilde u tilde cross sigma tilde v tilde. Now how do we know these two give the same? So that's a little problematic. So what do we do? Let's just see, but this we have seen. You know, if you have your transition function phi from u tilde to u, so you will have phi u tilde v tilde is equal to uv, and then you take your, so your sigma tilde is equal to sigma composite phi. Then we have seen your sigma tilde u tilde is equal to, so chain rule you apply, so you have sigma u du by du tilde plus sigma v dv by du tilde. You remember this, differentiate with respect to the corresponding, the two variables involved in sigma, and differentiate those variables with respect to u tilde. And sigma v tilde, sigma tilde v tilde, again the same principle, differentiate sigma u, this is v tilde, then du by du tilde plus, du by dv tilde plus sigma v, then that v is differentiated with respect to v tilde. So in that case, this is a simple computation, so I am just repeating. So sigma tilde u tilde cross sigma tilde v tilde, so we can compute it here itself. This cross this, so sigma u cross sigma v, so this part cross this one. These are real valued functions, don't worry. Sigma u cross sigma u is 0, so you have sigma u cross sigma v and sigma u cross sigma v, and what is the coefficient? Sigma u cross sigma v, du by du tilde, dv by dv tilde, du by du tilde, it is here sigma u sigma v, du by du tilde into sigma v coefficient is dv by dv tilde. And what is the next one? Plus, the next one is sigma v cross sigma u. Sigma v cross sigma u is minus sigma u cross sigma v. So you can take that and put minus sign, and what you get? dv by du tilde, du by dv tilde. So minus dv by d u tilde du by d v tilde. Okay, and what is the last term? Sigma v cross sigma v, that is 0. So therefore that is the one. This is exactly the determinant of the Jacobian of that. So it doesn't matter to us at all. So let us take norm of sigma tilde u tilde cross sigma tilde v tilde that divided by, I'm sorry, this guy, divided by norm of u tilde cross sigma tilde v tilde. This is what you are taking your n tilde. That is equal to, let us take this. So here vector part is this. So sigma, this I can write it as determinant of Jacobian of phi into sigma u cross sigma v divided by norm of this. Norm of this is modulus of this into norm of this. Modulus of determinant of j phi into norm of that. Norm of that is sigma u cross sigma v. I am taking norm of this, but this is real number. So it's modulus into norm of this. Okay? And that is equal to, see this number, this is always non-zero. Because it's a regular transformation. Phi is a diffeomorphism, regular diffeomorphism. So this has to be non-zero. If this is 0, then this itself will become 0. That's not true, because this is these two are linearly independent. So this can never be 0. So there is no issue in division here. So this number divided by its modulus, that is plus or minus 1. Any number by its modulus is plus or minus 1. We don't know. If this is positive, then it is plus 1. If this is negative, it is minus 1. That's all we know. And sigma, that is n. So n tilde is, if you change the parameterization, the only change that you can expect is n may become minus n. Now, in case it is positive, we are done. In case it's negative, there is no issue involved. I mean, we still can manage to compute all the derivative. That minus sign you have to keep in mind. There is going to be a change in. It is not that you can get rid of it. It depends on the way you look at. When we talk about curvature further, the geometry, then you realize that if you change the normal, but that's any parameterization you take, there are two choices. One is this or plus or minus of this. So you can always take two normals. So if you change the normal, many things change. Some things won't change, some things are going to change. So there is a problem, okay? So it's always going to be. Positive can become negative. Curving, on one side you see that your surface is going away from you. Then if you look at from the other side, it is coming towards you. For instance, you take a convex glass. On one side it is convex, then the other side it is concave. So it is not that looking from both sides you get the same. That's not true. So therefore, there is going to be a change depending upon that. So accordingly, you should interpret your results. But apart from these two changes, which any normal you take, any case is going to be there, there is no difference. So these two choices are always there, and you live with that and interpret according to that. Okay, so it is unavoidable kind of a. So what you do is to measure the rate of change of tangent plane, we measure the rate of change of normal, this vector. That's what it is. Okay. So first thing, let's see how to do that. So we are going to differentiate. So n is, now we don't worry about the, what is that choice? We make a choice, and n is going to be a map from U to R3. For every point here, you get a normal, that's a vector in R3. So we only have to measure this. So we are going to look at the derivative of this. Of course, there are two variables involved. u and v, and there are going to be 3 coordinate functions because it's in R3. So it's a standard differentiation, nothing much to worry about it. Partial derivatives, etc. you take, you get it. Okay. So there will be 2 derivatives. One is your derivative of n is equal to nu comma nv. Say like your sigma, same thing will happen. So the 2 derivatives. Before you find out that, okay, so the idea is how to get this nu. So how they look like. So that's the first thing I want to know. Look at this. First thing that you know, that your normal vector has a property that its square is, this is 0, norm is 1. Sorry. The norm of by definition, norm of this is going to be 1. You can see that. Plus or minus is irrelevant. This is going to be 1. You take the norm of this. So norm of sigma u cross sigma v divided by norm of sigma u cross sigma v. So that's going to be 1. Norm of this is 1. This helps you. Now let us differentiate this with respect to just u. So then this is now a real valued function defined on u. So differentiate with respect to u. Only one variable. Fix your v. Differentiate this with respect to u. You can also write this in a different way. This is n dot n. So it's a function defined on this real valued function, and differentiate this with respect to u. We get this derivative n dot nu or n plus nu dot. Derivative of this dot product with this plus this dot product, that is f dot g. Very simple formula, f dot g prime dot is equal to f prime dot g plus f dot g prime. This is a simple formula because you write it any variable, it doesn't matter. This is written as, suppose these are vector valued functions, f dot g is fi gi. Right? I is equal to 1 to n. Even in Rn this is true. So taking derivative of this is equal to sigma taking derivative of fi gi. Apply the product formula. So fi prime into gi plus fi into gi prime. And what is that? Split it into 2 parts. So first one is f prime dot g, the other one is f dot g prime. This is the ordinary product formula you apply, you get this formula. So we are going to hence differentiating we get twice because both are same. In this case f and g are different, but here they are same. So this is equal to this is equal to this. So you have 2n dot nu equal to 0. Because this is constant. Right hand side the derivative is 0, left hand side this. And this is also this. So you can even cancel this because it's twice 0. So other one is n dot nv. So both nu and nv are orthogonal to the normal vector. These are vectors in R3 orthogonal to normal vector, perpendicular to normal vector. What are vectors perpendicular to normal vector? They have to be tangent vectors. Tangent space itself is defined as all vectors are going to be all vectors orthogonal to normal vector, these are tangent vectors. So hence both nu and nv both are orthogonal to normal vector and therefore are tangent vectors. That's the first observation. So hence what do you get? Hence we can write Nu as, Nu is equal to, let's write A sigma u plus B sigma v, and Nv as C sigma u plus D sigma v. Because these are tangent vectors and sigma u, sigma v form a basis for the tangent space. So you can write it as we came back to our own old, sigma u, sigma v. So that's a beautiful, it's very interesting. And this map is, of course, this A, B, C, D are, don't take, they are not functions, they are not constants. Because at every point you evaluate uv, you get A uv. So A, B, C, D are functions from u to, these are scalars, R. Because it's a scalar multiple, so at every point you get a real number. A at u comma v, this will be A u comma v, sigma u at u comma v plus B u comma v into sigma u at u comma v. So these are functions defined on u, but real valued functions. Okay, so this gives, this is a linear map, and this is A, B, C, D. This linear map, or this mapping from U to Rn, R3, that's called the Weingarten map, or some people call it shape map. So this actually it represents the derivative of the normal, and this will indicate a lot about your curving. Okay, so we'll come back to this. We need to do some computation to understand this shape operator or the Weingarten map. So what do we do? Let me write down those first two things. I mean, those Nu is equal to A sigma u plus B sigma v, and Nv is equal to C sigma u plus D sigma v. You can easily understand that depends on your parameterization, because your sigma u, sigma v appear. What will happen if you take different, this A, B, C, D, will it be unique? I mean, there are lots of questions that we have to understand. So how to handle this case? So first is let's look at because some of these things we can rewrite, because taking dot product and all we can get into E. So let us first do that. Nu dot sigma u. What will be this one? So you take dot product with sigma u. So A sigma u dot sigma u, that is E, norm of sigma u square. So A E plus B sigma v dot sigma u is F, sigma u dot sigma v. That's good. Similarly, take the other side. What will you get? Nu dot sigma v. At least this is easy to, we know what we have been doing, but this we have to again look at. We will look at that. This is A dot sigma u dot sigma v, that is F, plus B dot sigma v, that is G. That's good. That's a nice expression. Let's do there also. So here Nb dot sigma u, that is C sigma u dot sigma u is E plus D sigma v dot sigma u, that is F. Next is Nv dot sigma v is equal to C sigma u dot sigma v, that is F, plus D sigma v dot sigma v, that is G. So this is pretty nice, okay, at least some idea, but there is this left hand side, have no idea how to manage that. But that's not too hard, because you can push this derivative into this side. For each of this, because this is a complicated object, this, everything we have to finally get into sigma u, sigma v, which we know. We are giving parameterization, we can compute. But this guy is pretty hard. I mean, that's the issue. So what we do, we transfer this to this side, very easy. What is that? First you look at this. N dot sigma u, this is 0. And that's the same as N dot sigma v. Because normal, these are tangent vectors, normal is orthogonal to that. So the advantage is this, once you have this, you can use this to transfer your nu to this side. So let us differentiate this left hand side, this with respect to u. So what do you get? F dot g, the derivative of f dot g with whatever involved in only one variable. Other variables you fix. Fix your v, so differentiate with respect to u. So derivative of this dot product with this plus this dot product with the derivative of this. So this will be nu dot sigma u plus n dot sigma u, that's equal to 0. Okay. So I mean, now it is easy. If you have understood the basic philosophy, I can write this. So that means this character, this is what we were looking for, that character nu dot sigma u, yes, is equal to minus n dot sigma uu. And this we can easily compute because everything comes from sigma. Because n is sigma u cross sigma v by norm of sigma u, that we know. And sigma u know, then sigma uu also you know. So this is easy to compute. Okay, so now you have this complicated object, now we can compute using the right hand side. This, let us give a short name for this. We denote this by L. This object is a very useful object otherwise also. N dot sigma uu. Okay. Now let's write down the from this, let us differentiate this with respect to v. So what do you get? Differentiate this with respect to v. Nv dot sigma u plus, or transfer it to the other side, equal to minus n dot sigma uv. Okay. So this is again, this is not difficult to compute because everything comes from sigma. This is sigma u cross sigma v by norm of that. So this is not, this sigma u, if you give me sigma, then differentiate sigma with respect to u and then followed by v. This is easy. So this quantity again you can compute, it is not all that bad. So this we are going to write it as m. Okay. So that's one more. Next is this side. Let us differentiate that with respect to u first. So what do you get? Nu dot sigma v, that we require somewhere, nu dot sigma v. What will be that? Minus of other side, n dot sigma vu. Sigma vu is the same as sigma uv, assuming that sigma is sufficiently smooth, then the derivative, mixed partial derivatives are equal. So this is n dot sigma uv, which we have already seen. I am sorry, this quantity is m, minus of that. So let us write this as minus m. This we give notation for simplicity, object that you can always compute. And then now let us differentiate this with respect to v. So that will be nv dot sigma v plus the other term equal to 0. So translate, because the right hand side is 0. So derivative here 0, derivative this will be this plus that, transfer it to the other side, it will be minus n dot sigma VV, and that we are going to call n. This we call, this is where the issue of notation comes. This is the difference between this n and n. So I have been making a bold n for that, and for this n I am using a different notation. I have no simple option. I don't want to change drastically the notation, so I keep it like this. Okay, so now let's go back to our original equation set. There are 4 equations here. Right hand side we are familiar, left hand side we just write this. So let us write this. Now rewrite. So rewrite this. What do you get? Nu dot sigma u. What is Nu dot sigma u? This guy, no? So this is Nu dot sigma u. So minus L is equal to AE plus BF. Then next is, let's take this, whichever, or yeah. So next one will be, let's take this one, Nu dot sigma V. Let us take this. What will be that? Nu dot sigma V, where did we compute? This is the one. Nu dot sigma V is minus M is equal to AF plus BG. Two more are there. What is the next one? NB dot sigma U. What is NB dot sigma U? NB dot sigma U is again minus M is equal to, minus M is equal to AE plus DF. AE plus DF. And then finally NV dot sigma V. NV dot sigma V is minus N. Minus N is equal to CF plus DG. Now this 4 put together, we are going to write it in a matrix form, but that's the beauty of the whole thing. So let me write L minus M minus M minus N. You can see we have a nice matrix, and let us substitute. What are they? We need some space here. Minus L is AE plus BF plus BF, then minus M. You have to be a little careful while doing it. This is, hope I have done everything correct. This is the third one. This is C, right? This is C. Okay. M, so this is CE plus, so next one you can write here, AE plus BF. If there is any change required, that time I will see. I'm just blindly writing them. Then this is, next, this is CE plus DF. That's an error because this is CE plus DF. I wrote it wrongly. And then finally CF plus DG. Only these two I have doubt. So let us see what do we get. This is going to be, yeah, I think it is correct. So what I will do, I will take these things. There is a, okay, that is already there. So what I will do, EF AB. You can see that. And so you get EF AB. Come on, what did I write here? there is something wrong here. Minus m AF plus BG. AF plus BG. Okay. So F G, that's correct. AF plus BG, that's correct. And here the next one will be CD. You can see this CD plus DF, and this one will be CF plus DG. That's correct.
So on top, have you written first column, second row, first column, second row, that value, and from there you have taken it down?
I have taken from the second equation, this one. No. Which equation did I take? I took minus m AF plus, no. AE plus,
It should be AF plus BG, I suppose.
that's right, AF plus BG. But that's what you get, AF plus BG, that's right. BG. It's already here, I made error. That m is AF plus BG. I mean, these two you have to be careful. If you interchange, then you're going to get into problem. But luckily I have written it correctly. We are through. Now we can write this. So therefore you are generally you denote it by W, the Weingarten map, A, B, C, D. This is equal to, transfer this to that side, take this, minus outside. So this you take, E, F, F, G. Remember, this is always non-singular. This matrix is always non-singular because its determinant is the norm of sigma u cross sigma v. Sigma u cross sigma v is always non-zero because they are linearly independent. So this can be inverted. So take it out. See, matrix multiplication, you have to be careful. It's not commutative. So if you are taking from the left side, go to the left side inverse. And this minus I have taken. So what is left out is L, M, M, N. All these are very easy to compute. You give me sigma, then you can compute these. We have seen. Then you can compute the normal, then sigma uu, sigma uv, etc. And then you can compute this. So it's very easy to compute the right hand side. So with a surface patch, this matrix can be, that can be computed. And but the only difficulty is that this may not be very good matrix. Secondly, it depends on your sigma. So how, dependency on sigma always creates a problem. How this can be used to study, how do you understand? Okay, so that's what we have to now look at. Okay, I mean, if you have, if sigma tilde is another surface patch with this is the first fundamental triple, so E, F, G, and this is called the second fundamental triple, and L, M, N, E tilde, F tilde, G tilde, L tilde, M tilde, N tilde, which is standard computation. What is that? First you take normal N tilde, then in the same direction as N you have taken, so that there won't be any issue of normal problem. So that means N dot N tilde should be 1 and not minus 1. That's a confirmatory test. They are in the same direction, not in the opposite direction if the dot product is 1. If the dot product is -1, that means they are in the opposite direction. So just confirm that you take it, and once you have that n, then you can compute n dot sigma uu, n dot sigma uv, and n dot sigma vv. So that gives you this, with this as the associated triples. Then one thing we already have done, then at least let me write that, E tilde, F tilde, G tilde, this is equal to, look at the transition map phi, look at its Jacobian, then we have seen that this is equal to the Jacobian, the transpose of the Jacobian, E, F, G, Jacobian. This we have seen, but this, the other part, we have to see how this is related to MLMN. So that we will see. Okay, to compute those, the difference between the, how the two are related. First, let us assume that the n tilde, by a choice, let us make sure n tilde is equal to n. I mean, the original, you had already sigma and sigma tilde. So, as I said, you just take the dot product and see whether dot product is 1 or -1. If it is -1, then take minus of that to ensure that n tilde is equal to n. So, that means sigma tilde u cross sigma tilde u tilde cross sigma tilde v tilde by its norm. If that gives you in the product with n as -1, then take minus of that so that you work with the same n tilde and n. So, once and for all, let us fix, we take the same. There is always a choice, so you have to ensure. Now, to get LMN, you need the derivatives. So, sigma tilde u tilde, this we have already seen even this morning. So, let us earlier. So, let us write down this. This is sigma u. So, differentiate this with respect to u, and then du by du tilde plus sigma v. So, sigma you differentiate composition function I am writing, this dv by du tilde, and let us write sigma v is equal to, sigma tilde v tilde is equal to sigma u dou u by dou v tilde plus sigma v dou v by dou v tilde, then v tilde. So, this is so far good. Now, what is required is the second derivative, sigma tilde u tilde. That means you have to differentiate this with respect to u tilde. So, differentiate this respect to u tilde and differentiate this. So, look at this guy. This is already a function of u is a function of u tilde v tilde. So, therefore, you can directly do that. So, d square u by d u tilde square sigma u as it is, nothing to worry. Product rule, this is component wise done, this is real valued. So, you this component wise you do. So, first part this, second part is this du by du tilde. Now, sigma u is a composition function. So, sigma u composite phi is what you have. So, you have to differentiate this with respect to, use chain rule. So, what do? Sigma u, you differentiate with respect to u, and then you take u du by du tilde plus next is sigma u, you differentiate with respect to v, and then differentiate v with respect to u tilde. So, that is, so it is done, first part is done, plus now this guy we have to differentiate with respect to u tilde. So, first this is quite easy, d square v by d u tilde square sigma v plus dv by du tilde into derivative of this with respect to u tilde. Again chain rule. So sigma, this you differentiate with respect to u first, sigma vu, we can write it as sigma uv and different du by du tilde plus differentiate that with respect to v, sigma vv dv by dv tilde. So that's quite fine. Now let's look at what do you get here. This is this guy. So let's write L tilde. L tilde is sigma tilde u tilde dot n tilde. That is the same as this whole expression dot n tilde, but we have taken n tilde equal to n. So you can compute just by taking dot product with n. So let us do that. N. So what do we get? First let us dot, this is quite easy. So dot product with n. So that is all right. Okay. So that's easy. See, sigma u is a tangent vector. So dot product with n is going to be 0. So this term won't be there. And one more term where this term also won't be there because sigma v dot product with n is 0. So these two terms won't appear. Only these terms appear. So let us look at it. So here there is a scalar part, there are vector parts. So sigma u is there. Sigma u dot n, and that is equal to L. These two you have to. So du by, so that is del u by del u tilde the whole square. You can see. Next is, this is the vector part. So what do you get? This dot product with n will give you m. What do you get? Du by du tilde dv by du tilde. That's good. So that is over. Next let's come here. Again this dot product with n is going to be m again. Okay, m. So we'll take as common factor. And what is that you get? Du by dv by du tilde plus dv by du tilde into du by d again u tilde. Second part is sigma uv dv by uu. So it is u tilde, no doubt about it. And then the last part. This is nothing, sigma vv dot. So that is your n. What do you get? D square. Oh, not d square. It is dv by du tilde into dv by del v tilde. So that's what you get. So your L tilde, this is equal to this expression. Now m tilde, well I'll write down this because the same kind of computation you have to do it by just taking sigma uv, which I have not written, so u tilde v tilde by a same method. So I will just give you hint so that you can write. So your m tilde is going to be computed here L du by d u tilde du by dv tilde plus du by du tilde du by dv tilde. Oh yes, du tilde. This is du by dv tilde plus m again mixed one, du by du tilde dv by dv tilde plus du by dv tilde v tilde dv by du tilde plus last term is n times n into, this is, anyway all of them are functions, so you don't have to worry, n into this term is, sorry, yeah, n into dv by du tilde into dv by dv tilde. So that gives you this, and n tilde, yes, n tilde is L du by, it will be very similar type of thing that you see there, v tilde square plus du by du tilde dv by, oh yes, these two terms are same. Actually they are same, I mean I didn't notice because it's written here reduced, so it is just 2m times, this is enough. I did not notice. It's the same thing, du by du tilde, du by du tilde, dv by du tilde, dv by du tilde. Okay, because here it's more simplified and written as 2m, so du by dv tilde, 2m du by du tilde, du by dv tilde dv by dv tilde plus last term n dv by dv tilde whole square. So this is your expression. So now, of course, you can write the matrix, you can separate it. What you essentially get is L tilde, M tilde, M tilde, N tilde. This is actually equal to, you can check this, Jacobian of phi. See, there were second derivatives etc. here, but they all got rid of. So we don't have to worry about it, everything comes with this transpose L, M, M, N, J phi. But this is very crucial because now you see, let W tilde be equal to the Weingarten map with respect to this sigma tilde. Let us write A tilde, B tilde, sorry, C tilde, D tilde. And what is this going to be? This is E tilde, F tilde, F tilde, G tilde inverse, L tilde, M tilde, M tilde, N tilde. Well, there is a minus sign, let us not forget that. And that is equal to this, we have already seen that is the same as this matrix is Jacobian of phi EF FG into Jacobian of phi transpose EF FG into Jacobian of phi. So the inverse will be, so let me write this, Jacobian of phi inverse E F F G inverse Jacobian of phi transpose inverse. That's the inverse of this. This guy is equal to Jacobian of phi into this matrix into Jacobian of phi transpose into this matrix into Jacobian of phi. So its inverse is Jacobian of phi inverse of this into Jacobian of phi transpose inverse. And what is this guy? Well, believe me now, because you have to do the computation to get it. It's a bit long. Jacobian of phi transpose LMMN. And what is this going to be? So these two, get cancelled to identity. So you will have Jacobian of phi inverse EFFG inverse LMMN Jacobian of phi, and that is equal to Jacobian of phi inverse B, C, D Jacobian of phi. That's rewritten as Jacobian of phi inverse W Jacobian of phi. So if you change the parameterization, then the new Weingarten map is related to the other one by a similarity. So the Weingarten maps of two different parameterizations are similar matrices at every point. And similarity relation also, we know it. So similar matrices have a lot of advantages. So therefore, we may not get the same matrix. So therefore, the Weingarten matrix or map is dependent on the parameterization, but for two different parameterization, you get two similar matrices. This is not matrix actually, because it's a matrix of functions. These are all functions. So at every point you get a matrix. So it is a matrix function, matrix valued function. Okay, and they are similar to each other. So if two matrices are similar, it means that they really represent the same linear map with respect to two different bases. Because one side you have sigma u, sigma v, which is probably the basis at which we are working with. The other place you use sigma tilde u tilde, sigma tilde v tilde. So they are the one which influences in expressing your derivative of nu and nv we did. Or the other side it is sigma tilde u tilde, etc. So that apart from that, there is no difference. The two maps are same, except that the basis with respect to which they have written are different, and that's why you get two different matrices, but they are similar.